Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to start today with an unbelievable Gemara in Bava Metzia. This Gemara is famous, and the reason we're learning this Gemara is for the purpose that very often in a court case, I think we discuss this, we talk about Pshara Krov Ladin, but very often the context of the situation, it's very murky, trying to find out, trying to discern who's right and who's wrong, and that could be from a bunch of angles. It could be from the angle of facts. We can't get to the bottom of the facts. It could be from the angle of psak. The psak in this particular situation is a major machlokas, rishonim b'achorim, and it doesn't seem like there's a consensus according to one approach. Or there's, as we'll see, there's various parties involved. So the basic idea is based on Rashi, we're supposed to create a pshara. And the Rosh, we're going to learn this, says that there's a license to Beis Din to impose a pshara. Even if Beis Din can't get to the bottom of the facts. It's better that they shouldn't say, okay, just leave, we can't sort this out. Better to create a pshara because Gadol HaShalom, because that creates peace, it puts the matter to rest. So let's discuss this amazing story in the Gemara. Hahu Apetropa, you have a guardian on orphans. That means someone dies. And he, what? I'm sorry, page 32, I apologize, page 32. And he leaves property to orphans, and there's a guardian appointed either by Beis Din or by the father before he died. And and what does he do? He takes the money. So the guardian decides it'll be a great investment. He buys an ox for the orphans. Now, what do we do with oxes? What do we do with oxes is we raise them. They get bigger, they get fatter. And then we shech them. Now, naturally, the guardian, I presume, is a buttoned-up lawyer. He doesn't want to deal with the ox himself. So he gives the ox to a farmer, to a shepherd. So now the ox, let's pay attention, this is complicated, right? It's owned by the heirs, the orphans, was purchased by the guardian, and given over to a third party to raise. The problem is that the poor ox, Mr. Ox, did not have teeth. So what happened? He goes in the farmer's cattle, and the ox dies. Now they all come, everybody comes screaming, the dead ox, right? How do we sort this matter out? How do we adjudicate? After all, the orphans are out good money for an ox. Who's responsible? If you say to the guardian, Reb Yid, you were in charge of the orphans' affairs, and you bought for them an ox that died. Well, the guardian has the right, could make a very logical argument. I acted with proper care. I invested money, and I know I'm not a farmer myself, so I took the ox and I gave it to a farmer to watch. I did the right thing. I wasn't derelict in my duty. So we go to the farmer, we say, hey, you pay. The ox died under your watch. What do you want? I took care of the ox like good little ox is supposed to be taken care of. I took the ox, I put it among my cattle, and I gave it food. I'm supposed to have nevuah that the poor ox doesn't have teeth. Well, the farmer doesn't have that excuse because the farmer, he's obviously not taking care of this ox for free. He's being paid, right? So he's a shomer sachar. If he's a shomer sachar, then he's responsible for Gneva Aveda. He's responsible even a situation which is a little bit beyond his control. So the Gemara says, yeah, but he should have paid attention to the ox that it's not eating, right? He should have investigated the matter, not just leave all his oxes. So the Gemara says like this: if that would be the case, that would be valid if the orphans lost out. In this case, the orphans didn't lose out. Why is that? That the original owner of the ox, who the guardian bought the ox from, agrees to pay back the money of the purchase price to the orphans. So who's coming to Beis Din? You know who's coming to Beis Din? That fellow, the original owner of the ox, Morei de Katoin. You should have told me. The Gemara says, I don't understand. Slow down here. Why does the owner of the ox have any argument whatsoever? He should know that his ox doesn't have teeth. He should have told the purchaser, hey, you need to give this ox special care because poor ox doesn't have teeth. He knew it was a mekachtos, so what's his argument? His argument is, I want my money back because remember, the farmer is not the shomer sachar to the owner of the ox. He's the shomer sachar to the orphans. Their financial matters have been taken care of. So what's his argument? He shouldn't, obviously, he knows that ox is without teeth. It's a mekachtos. No one buys an ox without teeth. You know what I'm saying? It's like buying a car without an engine. It's not going to happen. It's a mekachtos. The answer is, b'safsira dezaven me'acha umazbin lahacha. The story is that the owner of the ox was not really an ox owner. He was really a middleman. Okay? He buys things on Amazon and sells them on eBay. So he really doesn't know much about the quality of his ox. So he didn't have the ability to know about it such that he should have told the purchaser, hey, this ox doesn't have teeth, because he never himself knew it didn't have teeth. So what happens? First of all, the owner of the ox has to take an oath that Hitaka is a middleman. He has to take an oath that Hitaka did not know that the ox was lacking teeth, because maybe Hitaka didn't know, right? So he's got to take an oath. But now what happens? Umeshalem Bakra, the farmer, who should have paid a little closer attention, he's not going to pay the full value of the ox to the owner, because he wasn't really the owner of Shomer Sachar. And the owner really does give the ox to watch to the farmer. So we're going to make a pshara over here. He's going to pay the value of cheap meat to the owner. He's not going to pay the full freight of what it cost. We're going to make a pshara here. Now, it's kind of interesting. He wasn't the shomer of the original owner, as I mentioned. However, it would seem in Rashi, he was a shtickle negligent. I mean, come on, you have an ox, you're giving food, you don't pay attention, the ox doesn't eat. He's not really negligent. Absolutely. So we need to have a pshara over here. Hatil pshara b'neihem v'lo yishalem kol dmei hashar k'mo shel. We don't make him pay the value of a live ox, which is a lot of money. Ela ha'or yachsir le'bailan, the leather you give back to the owners, right? It's their dead ox. The habasar, and the value of the meat, shamin v'yishalem shleishishim, he pays 2/3. That's generally what we say in pshara is 2/3. Okay? Fine. That's how we paskins. So these are a very murky story over here. We don't have a clear-cut situation. We make a pshara. Now Rashi points out that why did the Gemara just say the case with the orphans directly? Why do we come up with this case that the orphans got their money back? Because you can't make a pshara with mammon of the orphans. You can't do that. Okay. It's interesting. Tosfos has a different approach. Tosfos says the value of this ox is only the value of the meat bizol. Why? Because an ox that doesn't have teeth can't eat. So even if the farmer had gone to the merchant and said, hey, your ox doesn't have teeth, what would the merchant have done? He would have to have sold the ox for its meat at the rate he could get right now. Remember, we're dealing in an era before refrigeration or freezers. So he can't wait for top dollar for his meat. Because normally the way it worked in those days is you kept the ox alive till you got top dollar for your meat, right? And then you shechted it when you needed it. That's why they have all those shilas about yontif and things like that, where you're not going to eat up the whole cow, because, right? I'm talking about with tabachim and beitza, right? But, so the Rebbeinu Tam holds this is mamish the din, because the whole value of this ox at this point is only the value of an ox that doesn't have teeth, which is cheap meat, because you got to sell it right away. But Rashi holds it's a pshara. Now, the Rosh over here in the Shalos Tshuvos of a different quotes this whole Gemara and quotes Rashi. And let's start on page 33 from the paragraph Kol on the second column. Kol zeh seivarti v'harachti. I wrote this whole Gemara out that I just learned with you and made it long. Lo dia she'ein koach reshus lahotzias hadin cholak mitachas yado. The dayan does not have the option of just saying, I'm going to put my hands up. I don't know how to go. Shetzorech ligmor lahashlam es hadin. A dayan has to conclude the matter. Today, lahato shalom ba'olam, to put peace in the world so we don't have conflict. V'lakach, and therefore, nosnu chachamim reshus l'dayan livsok l'fi roseinav. Chachamim gave permission to a judge to paskin, to adjudicate based on how he perceives the matter. B'makom she'en adavar yachol isbarer b'rayos of edios. In a situation where the matter cannot be proven with proofs and testimony, the dayan has to say, this is the best I can do, this is what it seems to me. Sometimes he assesses which party is telling the truth. Sometimes it's without any feeling which party is telling truth, any proofs. We just got to do something because we got to make peace here. And sometimes we're going to negotiate a settlement. We're going to impose a negotiation. Now, the case he was talking about was where the defendant, the dayan, could tell that he was acting in an untruthful manner. There's no way to find in favor of the defendant because it says, midvar shekatircha. He can't say, I don't want to deal with this case because the defendant's lying, because we need to have shalom. He says the dayan has to go based on his estimation. That's a particular story he's saying. And Lamaisa, this is on page 34. Yesh koach l'dayan lasos din, on page 34, Simin Yud Beis Choshim Mishpat Sif Hey. The dayan has the ability to make a pshara when you can't figure out the matter. Ve'eno rashad mechaber paskins. The dayan does not have the right to say, I'm just moving myself away from this matter. The Sma points out that this entire litany that we said, the Rosh said, which he quotes the tshuva of the Rosh, that the dayan has the right to go and he can't figure it out with proofs and testimony, based on his Omer Adas, his assessment, sometimes a pshara, sometimes just he says, this is what we're going to do. Shekol Elo Advarim, the last line on the Sma on the left, Yochol Asos HaDayan B'Korcho Shabale Dvalei Dinim. The dayan could do it against the will of the Balei Dinim. He doesn't have to do it with the will of the Balei Dinim. He could go against the will. It's interesting. The Pischei Tshuva over here on page 35, quote the Tshuvas Havodas HaGershuni. If you see that someone is coming against someone else with all sorts of schemes, but there's no proofs, Shetzarech kol dayan lios mosam badin, the dayan has to be very careful. B'chol ma'amatze koach, to judge something truthfully. If he sees that there's something here that's wrong, Yochol ladon al pi'omed liros lafasha adavar, he can make a negotiated settlement. Rakshe kavanos l'shem shemayim. His kavana should be l'shem shemayim. Yeah. It's a fascinating story. The Shvus Yaakov on page 37 tells a fascinating, tragic story. Ruvain married off his daughter. Now, there was something called Takara Shum, that's Speyer of Hermaiza and Magen, so the 3 cities in Germany. We read about them on Tishba when they were destroyed during the Crusades. And they had a takana that if a dowry is given to a husband, to a man, right, when he marries your person's daughter, that if something happens to the daughter in the first year, the money goes back. The daughter had a child, so then the money doesn't go back. The child didn't survive. Now what happens? Now, there's a big discussion regarding the child not surviving. This was part of what the Shiloh was centered on, because if someone is we say that a child is not a nafel once he's 30 days old, but let's say he's fully complete. So it seems he's not nafel, and then he dies within 30 days. Okay, big shaila. L'maisa, there was no way to sort this out. They couldn't figure it out from the Rishonim and the Achronim what to do in this intricate case. Make a pshara. I guess they gave back 2/3 of the nadan. I don't know. 2/3 of the dowry. Don't seem like we have dowries today. But anyways, that's where we are. So this is all the same type of conversation that make a pshara. And the Marasham over here on page 38 repeats the same concept. The basic deal was that they were rebuilding a shul. We don't really have this concept today. Today it's more pro forma. But there's an idea of sponsoring a seat in a shul. Now today that's used mostly as a way to make money for the shul. But in those days, and even until somewhat recently, that was taka your place in the shul. And you owned it. It would go be Yerusha to kids and things like that. I don't think it applies today anymore, even when they put name tags on seats. Does it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. What?
Probably not.
Probably not. The truth is, in my in-laws shul, my father-in-law has a row of seats. But, I mean, we sit there, but like, I'm not sure it's like his kilo if he saw someone there to kick him. I'm not sure how that works exactly. Anyways, they were going to rebuild a new shul. And the question was what to do with the people of the old seats. They wanted their seats in the new shul, right, when they destroyed and rebuilt it. And the folks who were organizing the rebuilding of the shul made a very important taina. A seat in a brand new shul is worth a lot more than a seat in an abachi shul that's old and musty. So now what are we going to do? And they want them to buy new seats. So how do we figure this out? In fact, the claim that the new seats in the shul will be worth more, we can't even figure out. It's very hard to ascertain. It's not like, I'm saying there's a standard price for seats in shul, right? And buildings are different. It's very, very hard to sort the whole matter out. Kilos are different. Communities are different, right? So he said, let's make up pshara. They'll pay 50% of the value of the new seats in the new shul. Same type of idea. We can't figure it out. Make a pshara. Make some sort of negotiation. It's not worth 50% like mechitesi. Okay? So that's the same type of idea. Okay, Mitzvah Shem, we're going to continue with a slightly different but similar idea of Kimli. On Tuesday, everybody should have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat.